All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you. Welcome to Ticks. I know y'all been wanting me to do this. Y'all talked about it. Uh, I was busy yesterday, and in all honesty, I'm busy right now. I really don't have the time to do it, but I'm gonna knock this out. Uh, Two of the biggest things really three big things that came out of actually a lot, but three of the biggest things that people are talking about is the code that was cracked concerning Epstein. What's going on, Detro? Let me turn my volume up. There we go. The code that was cracked. The people, of course, as far as concerning Trump, that Epstein and some other guy tried to conspire against Trump. So, I mean, the more they dig, the more that they come up with nothing. And that Bill and Hillary Clinton, especially Bill, is all up and down the files. So we're going to turn to liberal hive mind and deal with the code. I'm not going to be here long. Deal with the code, and we'll go from there.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by FiveMind.com. Okay, so, again, you'd have to be living under a rock to not know what's going on all over social media right now, and especially on X. But we just got a massive Epstein files dump. And yeah, so much for the leftist narrative that Donald Trump refuses to release the Epstein files. He must be implicated. He's complicit in the crimes. Well, the files just dropped, and they are damning. They are bad. And I'd argue extremely bad for the Democrats, their donors, and their buddies. But if you pay attention to leftist media, the focus, of course, is Trump. As if there's some smoking gun. Now, I'll be very clear, there are some allegations against President Trump. His name does come up, but there's a whole lot that the left is not telling you. The disgusting nature of the left is once again exposed as they're cherry-picking the files and only highlighting uncorroborated allegations targeting President Trump and basically ignoring everything else. Let me explain my interpretation of the Epstein files, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'll show you what's being alleged, and I'll explain what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I'm sure you guys have seen this. Leftist accounts all over social media are posting these pretty damning allegations where Donald Trump is accused of all kinds of crimes involving minors, let's say. We can't really get into too much graphic detail, but there's a lot of allegations here suggesting that Donald Trump was an Epstein accomplice, various accusations that he was supposedly abusing girls under the age. And basically what the left is doing is they're zooming into the complaint summary, taking the allegation, and then posting it without the context. But the context here is the most important part. All of these allegations came in from random people, including some people from abroad, from countries like Australia, where they're calling anonymously into the NTOC or SDNY tip line. So these are basically all the procedural entries detailing the calls from the tip line. This is not evidence whatsoever, and in many cases, there's a little bit of added context that the left is purposely ignoring. Notes regarding the law enforcement follow-up, stuff like complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate incidents involving police which requested in mandatory psychiatric evaluations. In other words, these calls were happening conveniently during election season as Donald Trump was running for president, and you had literal mentally deranged people calling the line and accusing Donald Trump of being an Epstein accomplice with all of these wild claims. And there's actually all kinds of claims here targeting President Trump. There's another one. This one's from 2019, where it appears a literal deranged drug addict who was referred by True Pundit's Michael Moore alleged that he was on a yacht and he was RAPE'd by George Bush Sr. and Bill Clinton while Donald Trump and his wife Melania watched, quote, baby dismemberment and a feces-eating satanic ritual. Now, of course, again, this individual was deemed not credible and the tip was immediately dismissed by the FBI and the NYPD. I mean, the claim is obviously ridiculous. The person was referred to by Michael Moore, appeared to be another deranged individual, and yet the left is presenting it as evidence, but none of this stuff is evidence. They're all uncorroborated claims. And conveniently, they all come right around election time. All of a sudden, from 2016 to 2020, And not in between, by the way, not for the midterms, but only during a general election season, you get all these wild claims accusing Trump of the worst crimes imaginable. So far, everything presented implicating President Trump is either hearsay, secondhand account, or claims being made by totally discredited and untrustworthy individuals. Another example of that is an email that suggests that Donald Trump is compromised by Israel, another supposed bombshell here, but that claim came from an individual by the name of Chuck Johnson, who's currently serving prison time for apparently posing as a federal informant and engaging in a scheme where he was extorting various businesses for ransom payments. Not to mention, this guy has a whole litany of legal issues, all relating to defamation, lies, and con artist schemes in the political realm. I mean, possibly the most untrustworthy individual on planet Earth, and yet people are running with this claim as if it's got any merit. But all of these claims are totally unfounded and unverified. Every single one. But all these supposed journalists all over social media, they want to make this the focus. And the most incredibly frustrating part of all that is that there were actually some pretty significant bombshells in this massive Epstein files drop. And not just hearsay from anonymous tip lines, but no email chains directly communicating with Epstein or photographs implicating them. There's one part here that suggests that Bill Clinton visited the Epstein Island 32 different times. There's also a plethora of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Reid Hoffman. Of course, Reid Hoffman is the Democrat mega donor behind many of the campaigns to get Donald Trump. And one damning email shows Jeffrey Epstein emailing Reid Hoffman saying, "Okay, come to the island ranch, quote, let's play." And we've got another damning email where Reid Hoffman tells Jeffrey Epstein that he bought him 2 gifts. One is ice cream. If you have any interest, you should try, else for the girls. Hard to say what that means. It seems purposely vague, and I'd even argue kind of harkens back to the Pizzagate emails from all that time ago. And then another one that says, something that may strike your funny bone for the island. There also seems to be emails implicating another Democrat mega donor, this time Bill Gates, where it comes to light that Bill Gates apparently contracted an STD from, quote, Russian girls. And in the email chain, he's begging Epstein for secret antibiotics to dose his wife Melinda without her knowing. You know, there is some damning stuff and some legitimate evidence from the actual source from the emails, email correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein, and it appears to involve pretty much everybody but Trump. There is no smoking gun evidence. In fact, I'd even argue quite to the contrary. The only time Donald Trump is mentioned in the actual emails, not uncorroborated wacky claims from anonymous accusers, the only time we actually see Donald Trump mentioned, well, it seems to kind of exonerate him. We got this post here. Epstein files, survivor told FBI that Maxwell presented her to Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Documents show a victim told FBI agents that Ghislaine Maxwell brought her to Mar-a-Lago and made clear that she was available to Trump. Maxwell reportedly gave her suggestions on what to wear, saying things like, "Oh, he'll like that. He doesn't like that." She also told the woman, "Oh, I think he likes you. Aren't you lucky?" The setup was described as very much like how Maxwell introduced her to Epstein. However, the document explicitly states nothing happened between the individual, the victim, being trafficked, and Donald Trump. There's also a claim during a Epstein social gathering where people were getting in line for massages from Epstein's girls. And Epstein directly told Michael Wolff that Trump, quote, never got a massage at his house. And so what I'm gathering from this is it appears as though Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were hovering around Donald Trump during the early 2000s at Mar-a-Lago in the Palm Beach socialite community, and they were attempting to entrap him. They were constantly presenting him girls, trying to get him in these situations, and time again, it appears he rejected the bait. That's the way I'm reading this. And then, of course, we know later, as Donald Trump kind of got a clue of what was going on, what has been confirmed is that he actually kicked Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago social club and banned them from the premises. Now, it's really hard to draw a conclusion. It's hard to totally exonerate, and it's also impossible to declare definitive guilt here. But just based on what's being presented, there is no smoking gun suggesting Donald Trump's complicity in any of this. However, there are smoking guns related to a whole lot of other actors, kind of reminding me of this Elon Musk clip from a little while back.
Like known Epstein clients who are obviously extremely powerful politically and very wealthy are, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Reid Hoffman, and some others too, but those three. So, why was Reid Hoffman so intent on destroying Trump?
You think it's because they're worried about the list coming out?
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to be sitting in a situation where the list isn't coming out.
Well, it better come out, hopefully tomorrow.
Why'd they release today?
I don't know.
What's the point in giving these people like a happy folder to wave around in front of the camera with nothing in it that's new? Doesn't make any sense.
And that's another thing that makes you wonder. Obviously we know that Reid Hoffman is probably Donald Trump's biggest hater, one of the biggest Democrat mega donors, who's engaged in all kinds of illegal and unscrupulous activity to derail and destroy Donald Trump and Trump Republicans. And so, if Donald Trump was involved with all of these characters and their horrific actions, well, you would question why they made him public enemy number one now, wouldn't you? I reiterate once again, very hard to come to a conclusion here, a definitive conclusion, but analyzing all these elements, all this information, it's very clear there's no smoking gun, and leftists on social media are being extremely deceitful in the way they're presenting this information. There's no new evidence here. None of this is evidence implicating President Trump, and all the actual evidence that would suggest complicity in Epstein's crimes, well, it all seems to go right back to these big Democrat mega donors and even former Democrat President Bill Clinton. Now, of course, if things change, then I'll change my tune. But as of right now, I think it makes a whole lot of sense why President Trump didn't want these files released. Probably because he knew that the public would misread them, the Democrats would misrepresent them, and try to steer people to coming into obviously incorrect conclusions. And I'd say, there's probably a reason why the Democrats sat on these files for 4 years during Joe Biden's administration, because once again, it appears the Epstein crimes are directly linked to them and all of their buddies, their little social circles. And I really think Trump's the one who didn't take the bait, who they basically weren't able to honeypot. And maybe that's why they worked so hard to destroy him. Anyways, that's what I got. That's my interpretation of the latest Epstein.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. My bad. I was reading the codes, but they want files released. Have at it, but at the end of the day, it's a distraction. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was muted. I was reading the codes. I'm sorry. I was reading the codes. As you can see, this is from the department. This is the FBI files. Got the tag. Girl lover. The logo is a small heart surrounded by a large heart, which symbolizes a relationship between an adult and a minor girl. Boy lover. The logo is a blue spiral shaped triangle surrounded by a larger triangle, where the small triangle represents a small boy and the larger triangle represents an adult man. Child lover. The logo of a butterfly with pink girls and blue boys coloring represents pedophiles without a gender preference. Map equals semen in context of DNA evidence. Sauce equals orgy. Hot dog equals boy. Pizza equals girl. Pasta equals little boy. Remember Pizzagate? Remember Hillary Clinton and Pizzagate? Yeah. Turns out 4chan was right. Cheese equals little girl. Walnut equals children of color. Chicken equals young boy. Handkerchief equals black. S&M bondage or white underage. A black handkerchief is S&M bondage and a white one is underage. And ice cream equals male prostitutes. Yeah, I had no idea I was muted either. You said, the hell is this? This is Epstein's code. This is the code that they would use in the Epstein files. Ain't that something? Let's see. FBI intelligence bulletin code words and terminology used by pedos to identify sexual preferences. This was, of course, full Epstein library. This is what he used. That was his code. Wow. Look at this. Get ready for Chicago. Whoops. Get ready for Chicago Hot Dog Friday from Fred Burton to Don Kendall and CC to Eric Eisenstein, Daryl O'Connor, and Copeland Susan. Subject: get ready for Chicago Hot Dog Friday. I think Obama spent about $65,000 of the taxpayers' money flying in pizza, hot dogs from Chicago for a private party at the White House not long ago. Assume we are using the same channels. The Clinton email can't be that bad, and they're trafficking children. On Thursday, October 8, 2015 at 9:26 a.m., Tamara Lozado wrote, with enormous gratitude to advanced man extraordinaire Haber, I am popping up again to share our excitement about the reprise of our gang's visit to the farm in Lovettsville. And I thought I'd share a couple more notes. We plan to heat the pool, so a swim is a possibility. Bonnie will be Uber service to transport Ruby, Emerson, and Muave Luzado, 11, 9, and almost 7. So you'll have some further entertainment, and they will be in that pool for sure. And with the forecast showing prospects of some sun and a cooler temperature in the low 60s, I suggest you bring sweaters or whatever attire will enable us to use our outdoor table with the pergola overhead, so we dine al fresco and ideally al chillo. Oh my goodness. And these are the containers apparently that they were used for human smuggling. Human smugglers' new tactics, traffic routes, everything. Evergreen Shipping Agency. Children trafficked above ground overseas are stuffed in shipping containers for weeks. Large ports conveniently have entrances to underground tunnels to discreetly move children when they are unloaded.
1, 2, 3. 1.
That's the pedo swirl, but you kind of get the idea. So cheese equals girl, yeah. I mean, it's G activities. Like, that is weird ass list that I ever heard of. It's like reading Captain Crunch key codes. You know what? I mean, to be a little off topic, I went to Walmart to pick up some chips, and if y'all have noticed, the new Lay's bag, let me show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all this because I thought it was so funny. Hold on. Let's see here. Okay, y'all, wait, hold on. Wait, okay, hold on. Let me cut this off. All right, y'all see, this is the new Lay's bag. I know y'all have seen this, right? The new Lay's bag. Well, look, I said, I wonder. I looked at the back. Look at the ingredients. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me blow this up. All right, yeah, these are the ingredients of the Lay's bag. Potatoes, vegetable, canola oil, soybean, and sunflower oil and salt. Remember, this whole list used to be filled. I saw this and died laughing. Yeah, they look like the new baked Lay's. So I was like, hold on, like, let me look at these. I picked them up and read the back, and I laughed, and Only thing I can say to myself was, thank you, RFK Jr. Thank you, RFK Jr. I can eat Lay's again. The man did us a solid. So now chips are healthy again. All right, so let's get back into this. Let's get into the Clinton part of this.
Ordinances are in.
Oh, hold on.
The community has to follow through. And
Lay's chips back. All right.
Over the weekend, though, President Trump said body cams would help law enforcement. DHS is the key player in the partial government shutdown. You see, Democrats are demanding agents unmask and identify themselves, among other things. The president reaching a deal with senators to separate Homeland Security funding from the broader package. Once it gets through the House, DHS would be funded until next Friday. The House Speaker said yesterday it'll be a few days before the funding gets a vote. And both Bill and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify before the House Oversight Committee in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. That's according to multiple reports. Both the former president and former Secretary of State doing an about-face after refusing at first to testify, accusing Chairman James Comer of politicizing the investigation. Both have denied knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Bill Clinton was photographed with Epstein, but has never been accused of wrongdoing. All right, let's turn to those Trump accounts now. You probably heard about them last week, but a lot of families are wondering exactly how does this impact them? Financial advisor and elder law attorney Pat Samasco is in Studio C tonight to get some answers with us, and we always thank you for joining us. Thanks for being with us on The Pulse.
Thanks so much, Ru.
So this is one of those things where I don't know if Americans today are capable of separating one administration and say, these are some good things they're doing, and these are some things that I object to.
Right.
Everything seems like it's just painted with one broad swath. And we have to, on this show, make sure that we're showing you everything.
Right.
And part of what's happening here is the Trump accounts. There's a lot of Democrats and Republicans who are saying, hey, good idea. Why is it a good idea in your mind?
Well, I think it's a great idea because, first of all, no one's going to have pensions anymore. And if you can start early and start saving early, that money with the time value money just builds up great over time. And you have to start young. So the whole idea is get these young kids a stake in the game. You get $1,000 for the next 3 years. Each kid born gets $1,000. But the idea is that the parents and the grandparents and employers and other entities can add more money and work with the kids and tell them how to do it and teach them how to write a check and how to invest and the differences between stocks and bonds. And it's their money. It's not.
I'm actually letting this play because, I mean, y'all know I don't normally just talk about one subject, but financial literacy, one of the things that need to come back into the school system, now that Trump has did away with the DOE, one of the biggest things that needs to come back into the school system is not just gym and auto body repair, but home ec. Because in home ec, when I was in school in junior high, they taught us how to balance a checkbook. They taught us how to balance a checkbook, how to do laundry, how to iron clothes. Do you understand? They taught us these basic things in the house. And we even used to bake. We would have ovens. The Collinwood. This school down in the basement, they had an auto body shop. They had an indoor track that went the length all the way up. This is in the basement, underground. We had a lighted track that went all the way around the school. And it wasn't short either. It wasn't short. And there was a basketball court down there in the basement. It was like a little gym, like a practice area. You know what I'm saying? There was an auto body shop there. And we had ovens in our classrooms. Junior high was, Newton D. Baker. So I take it back. It was high school. We had ovens in our school. We had a giant classroom. It was like 2 big classrooms put together But we have like 5 ovens in the school. And they would teach us how to like make a lasagna and cookies and all of this stuff, how to bake chicken, how to fry foods. I mean, they taught us how to take care of ourselves. It was through the school that they were like, yeah, this is how you cook for the week. You cook for the week. I mean, we had a damn good home ec teacher. She was damn good. She taught us all of that stuff. That we need to get back to that.
Government money, it's their money, and it grows and grows and grows.
So the initial money, though, the $1,000 does come from the government.
Yep.
So that comes into the account. A baby's born between, I think, January 2025
What's up,
and then all the way through 2028.
Which is
next
election time, I bet.
And that's why we can't, and we should mention, I mean, there's so much of what, by the way, Democrats and Republicans do is to make people feel confident and give them the tools that they need.
Absolutely.
But they also want to win elections and continue power in office.
Right.
But
you see how he just lied? Your post just contradicted what he said because the Democrats were the ones who destroyed the public school system. And it took a businessman in order to set it straight, to put it back on track. Now you just got to do what Ron DeSantis did, which is flush out all of these woke teachers who aren't doing their damn jobs.
let me ask you about how much money we're talking about at the end of the day. I mean, it really depends on how much is contributed, but you can really grow this out, can't you?
If you, first of all, you're going to get $1,000, but the idea is roll that into an account that you can invest with your own investment company. No one can touch it until the kid's 18 years old. Invest it in stocks and index funds and things like that. $1,000 at age 65 could grow to $75,000 just on that $1,000. And if you keep adding to it and adding to it, that could be your whole retirement.
You know, it's interesting because you said something that I think it struck me as noteworthy. There are so many people out there, you know, we always say things like, oh, you look at your 401ks. I think that's kind of insulting to almost half of Americans who don't have those types of investments. And so when you say things like, look at your stock market is doing so great, well, that's really nice to hear, but there are a lot of people out there who don't benefit from that.
Well, either they didn't know how to set it up, it wasn't offered to them through their employer, no one told them how to do it. And now I see the senior citizens, they have Social Security, which is a fixed income. They have to worry about paying food or prescriptions.
Sure.
If they started at age 1, 2, 3, 10, 15, 20, just add a little bit, do it yourself, and be in charge of your own destiny at that point, and you really can do wonders with it.
I've heard you, Pat, and other financial folks say the number one fear that Americans have is outliving their own money.
100%.
That's actually a thing.
Absolutely 100%.
And this is one way in which you can kind of eliminate that fear at an early age, right?
If you start early and save often, tax deferred, little bit, grow it over time. And the key is consistency. Get grandpa to help you out, do the investment. Get your mom to come and help with that. Do your piggyback money. But instead of putting in a passbook savings account that's going to earn nothing, put into the stock type of an investment account that really has growth potential. It's fantastic.
You have your hand on the political pulse when it comes to money. Is this something that's being accepted pretty broadly by Republicans and Democrats?
Well, you know, it started out is giving free food to the kids in grade school. There's no stigmatism. Everybody gets it. Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter if you're rich, it doesn't matter if it's poor. And it really doesn't matter because if you're a kid of a rich parent, they're not giving you any money. This is something that you can do on your own and then keep building and building and building. We had that conversation before. How are we going to pay for this? That's political. They already cut up that pie. That already been sliced out. If these kids can get a little slice of their own money that's not tied into some political thing,
sure, and
lobbyists and all that other stuff, well, great. Have them in charge of it.
Well, it's going to be something we're going to be watching very carefully, and many people.
I like this guy. This guy to the right. I like this guy. He's talking sensible.
Already have enrolled perhaps their babies into this program, and we'll wait and see how much.
Well, you can enroll everybody, and after July 4th of 2026, kids outside that age 3 can get it, but they're not getting the $3,000.
Sure.
But you can you can put money into my kids' accounts if you want to.
Well, thanks for the offer. Your children are good people, but we'll have to wait and see how this all pans out. But it is interesting, and as you say, it is good news regardless of where your political stripes lie. Pat Simasco, great to see you. Thanks for joining us here
Thanks
tonight
for
on the
having me.
Pulse.
Oh yeah, I'm. You know what? Before we get into the Clinton thing, yeah, bruh. Every week when I go to the store, because I don't get my meat from Walmart, I go to the Asian store. I always make sure I get oxtails. I mean, even though I got oxtails in the freezer, I still always always go get a fresh batch. I can't help myself. I'm addicted to oxtails. I go ahead, I throw them in the crock pot, let them cook overnight. And then like when the morning comes, I pull them out, let them cool off, chop them up, peel them off the bone, chop them up real small. Them some meatballs, maybe some duck, some beef tendon. Boom, I'm good. Let's see. We had carpentry, building trades, automotive, auto body, nursing, childhood development, cosmetology, etc. All going after 2,000 most Maryland schools. Okay, everyone's in the Epstein files. Like somebody delivered I was gonna say a pizza, but somebody delivered some hamburgers to a hotel where Epstein was staying. They in the files. Anyway.
Well, back to Capitol Hill after the break. The partial government shutdown is still going, but leaders hope a deal will be reached soon. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell is one of those lawmakers, and former state lawmaker and commentator Rocky Rajkowski, they dive into it.
That are being protected by Washington. This is one of the things that Debbie and I can concur and completely agree on, and that is that the redaction should be of the job.
Are you concerned about how this is all going? Rocky Rajkowski, and live via Zoom, Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. Good to see you both. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, guys.
Hey there. I want to begin with you, Congresswoman. Listen, let's start with the Epstein files. So much has come out in just the last few hours, really. There was one report that indicated that someone who was known as minor victim number 1 was named, and the reveal of the name was there 20 times. There was also, I think, 302 victim statements with a full first and last name unredacted for minor victims. And now these victims' parents and the victims are saying, get it out of there. Are you concerned about how this is all going, Congresswoman?
Yes, I'm very concerned. I've talked to many of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Some of them have willing to be public, some are not. These documents were supposed to be released a long time ago. The Justice Department said that they were taking so long because they were redacting names. A lot of names have slipped out. They're becoming targeted by people. It's causing trauma again to many of them. And it's just taken too long for this to come out. We've had too much drama. We got to protect the victims. Yeah. And quite frankly, people should be held accountable.
Congresswoman, I mean, and Rocky, literally, DOJ, you had one job. You had all that time. You had one job, was to redact the names to protect people, and seemingly, at least what the early reporting is, that they failed at that. Rocky, I mean, I got to tell you, regardless of whether Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, whoever was partying with him, whoever wasn't, no one has been criminally charged who's of public note outside of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in this case. But we should point out that these victims should not be victimized.
No, I concur. Right? And this is one of the things that Debbie and I can concur and completely agree on. And that is that the redaction should be of the victims, not of the people that are the elites or that are being protected by Washington. Yeah. Let's get those people in front of the courts and take care of Epstein's estate and pass it on to the victims and protect the victims. It's plain and simple as that.
As someone who's a Republican and someone who travels in the Republican circles, and I have plenty of friends who are as well, I find it noteworthy that so many of them, when President Trump was running the second time were demanding that the files are released.
They still are. They still are.
Are they still
By the way,
demanding
I
that?
travel in all circles, but yeah, they still
We all do.
are.
But I'm saying, are they still demanding that all of them come out?
Everybody is. But also remember that there's a lot of other issues also, not just the Epstein files, but there's also the ICE situation. There's also deportations. There's also problems with Iran right now that we're looking at. There's multiple issues, and there's only so much bandwidth that a lot of these politicians can deal with.
Well, I want to talk to a Congresswoman about this as well. As you know, Congresswoman, I think it's safe to say all three of us travel in all circles. You are friends with and know a lot of people in the Republican Party. I am as well, and with Democrats. And all of them are saying one thing. Everyone should be treated with equality here in terms of, hey, if you're being asked by Congress to come forth and with the House Oversight Committee wants to hear from you, you should step up. Are you glad to hear that former President Clinton and his wife are now agreeing to sit down with that committee?
So I want to say this before I tell you that I'm glad with tonight's outcome, but there were games being played. The Clintons were being deliberately targeted. They had said earlier they would come in and just talk about Epstein. Chairman Comer did not agree to that. There are many other people that should be called and subpoenaed, and this was very political. I understand, and I'm just getting details like you are right now, that there's been agreement that they'll come in, they'll testify on that subject, and I hope that we will pull a lot of other people in. There's been a politicization of this, and I'm going to remind you, Rocky's right. The vote to demand these files be released was unanimous in both the House and the Senate.
Yeah, but Debbie, I'm shocked that you brought up the fact that there were games being played in Washington, D.C. Listen, it's been played when Democrats were in charge, Republicans were in charge, and that's why there's so much frustration with both political parties that people have out there.
I'll tell you one more thing before we move on to our next topic. One of the most disturbing things, you see some of these high up people who aren't even in the world of politics, but Richard Branson is accused in the files of saying, hey, Jeffrey, come on over to my island, but only if you bring your harem. I mean, these are the kinds of things that nightmares are made of. And you read this and it really unpacks like a horror story. And it's so terrible to know that they're victims here. Let's talk about the shutdown later.
All right, so we're going to go to some Forbes videos. Actually were in Congress talking about this. So let's break this down. Man, there's so much horrible stuff in those documents. I mean, you wanted them released, Democrats, and it is not looking good for y'all. It is not looking good for Democrats. Because understand, dude hated Republicans. He did not get along with Republicans. He got along more so with Democrats more than anything. And y'all heard what Nicki Minaj was saying, how they were sitting up there sacrificing babies and everything. Wait a minute, but we jump into that. I gotta play this. I always thought this was funny. Y'all remember this? Tell me y'all remember this.
Our next presenter starred in Netflix's Bird Box, a movie where people survive by acting like they don't see a thing. Sort of like working for Harvey Weinstein. You did it. I didn't. You did it. Shut the fuck up. Please welcome Sandra Bullock. A superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay? So, it's already 3 hours long. Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You had to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right, but tonight isn't just about the people in front of camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. I don't care. It wasn't the only epic movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long. Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... many talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood foreign press are all very, very racist. So, 5th time. So...
All right, so let's get in here. Now that I got my markers, let's get into this
testimony. Thank you, Chairwoman Fox and Ranking Member McGovern. I urge the Rules Committee to grant a prompt rule for the House's consideration of both the resolution recommending that the House of Representatives find former President of the United States, William J. Clinton, in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, and the resolution recommending that the House of Representatives find former Secretary of State Hillary R. Clinton in contempt of Congress for refusal to comply with a subpoena duly issued by the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. Subpoenas are not mere suggestions. They carry the force of law and require compliance. Former President Clinton and former Secretary Clinton were legally required to appear for a deposition before the House Oversight Committee. They refused, and actions have consequences. Last July, Republicans and Democrats on the House Oversight Committee's Federal Law Enforcement Subcommittee unanimously approved a voice vote, a motion to subpoena former President Clinton and former Secretary Clinton for depositions as part of our investigation into the federal government's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell criminal cases. On August 5th, I issued subpoenas to them. The testimonies of President Clinton and Secretary Clinton are critical to understanding Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking network and the ways he sought to curry favor and influence to shield himself from scrutiny. In fact, then Secretary of State Clinton would have signed off on the annual Trafficking in Persons report. In 2010, under Secretary Clinton's tenure, that report began covering trafficking within the United States. Given her service as Secretary of State, she could provide firsthand information about the federal government's efforts to combat international sex trafficking. Their testimony may also inform how Congress can strengthen laws to better combat human trafficking. Since issuing the subpoenas, the Oversight Committee has acted in good faith. We've offered flexibility on scheduling. We've tried to accommodate. The response we received was not cooperation, but defiance, repeated delays, excuses, and obstruction. President Clinton and Secretary Clinton claimed to have been treated unfairly because the Oversight Committee accepted written statements under penalty of law from former U.S. Attorneys Gonzalez, Holder, Lynch, Sessions, and Garland, as well as former FBI Director Comey.
You mean a bunch of Democrats? Other Democrats? And you know the big question that I had to ask, and I asked Lewis this. I said, how much power do the Democrat how much power do the Clintons still hold when it comes to the Democratic Party? How much power do they still hold? Are they still able to have people whacked?
Those written statements were accepted because none of those officials recalled any information relevant to the Epstein investigation, nor could we find any evidence that they did have personal relationships with Epstein. By contrast, the Oversight Committee required in-person testimony from former U.S. Attorney General Barr and former U.S. Secretary of Labor and U.S. Attorney Acosta, both Republicans, because they possessed information directly relevant to the investigation. The Clintons had documented relationships with Epstein and Maxwell, including President Clinton's trips with Epstein and Maxwell, evidenced by numerous photographs, flight log records, wedding invitations, and other materials. We repeatedly informed the Clintons' attorneys that a written statement would not be sufficient. The subpoenas required a deposition. Federal courts have consistently held that witnesses may not impose their own conditions upon the manner of congressional inquiry. Yet President Clinton and Secretary Clinton attempted to do exactly that, submitting a brief, bulleted written statement that was neither comprehensive nor responsive to the Oversight Committee's many unanswered questions. No person, not a former president or a private citizen, may willfully defy a duly issued congressional subpoena without consequence. And there can be no doubt that this bipartisan congressional subpoena was lawful and duly issued, as Ranking Member Garcia confirmed for the record during the committee's markup. The Clintons have flatly refused to appear at all, despite repeated warnings that the Oversight Committee would move forward with contempt proceedings. 2 weeks ago, the Oversight Committee voted on
What happened was the Clintons didn't want to respond to the subpoenas. They were trying to avoid responding to the subpoena, just like Bonnie Willis did down here in Georgia. But it's like either you respond to the subpoena or you just get cuffed and stuff. No, they had personal relationships, all those damn pictures. Bill gonna claim he has the picture. Where am I?
a bipartisan basis to hold both President Clinton and Secretary Clinton in contempt of Congress for refusing to comply with their subpoenas. President Clinton must be held accountable for his actions. Secretary Clinton must be held accountable for her actions. The Rules Committee and the full House must take this opportunity to uphold Congress's investigative authority. And we must do so to demonstrate to the American people that justice is applied equally to everyone, regardless of position, pedigree, or prestige. I also urge the Rules Committee to grant prompt rule for Representative Gill's House Joint Resolution 142, disapproving the action of the District of Columbia Council and approving the D.C. income and franchise tax conformity.
Let me tell you something about this, about these federal judges that call themselves trying to get in the way. That stuff gets overturned. Because the Supreme Court told them to stop meddling in the president's affairs. The president is in charge of the country, not you. So all of this stuff, it's a short-lived victory. It's a subpoena Monica Lewinsky while you're at it. Bring her back into the fold.
And Revision Temporary Amendment Act of 2025. As I've said many times before this committee, Congress has the constitutional right to review legislation passed by the D.C. Council under the D.C. Home Rule Act. It also has authority to block such legislation. In this case, it should do just that. In December this past year, the D.C. Council enacted, without the mayor's support, legislation that blocks corresponding tax relief for D.C. residents and businesses that is afforded them at the federal level by the Working Families Tax Cut Act. These reforms provide much needed tax relief for both individuals and businesses, relief that keeps more of Americans' money where it belongs, in their pockets. However, the D.C. Council has cherry-picked pieces of these federal tax reforms and decided to just ignore the application in the local tax code. The tax provisions they have chosen not to implement in the D.C. tax code include no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for senior citizens, no tax on auto loan interest. This hurts seniors and hardworking American families, and that's just the start of it. They've also cut various tax credits for D.C. local businesses, including research and development and manufacturing incentives, stifling them from growing their local economy. The House must swiftly exercise its constitutional responsibility to oversee the District of Columbia and stop this misguided legislation from going into effect. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to unite in the support of D.C. taxpayers and businesses and support this necessary resolution of disapproval. Again, I ask the Rules Committee to grant a prompt rule for the House's consideration of these measures, and I welcome the committee's questions. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Comer. Mr. Walkinshaw, can you hold on just 1 second?
Sure.
I can't figure out where that pounding noise is coming from.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I've been on silent because I've been digging into these Lay's classic potato chips. I don't taste the difference. Actually, they taste better. They're not as greasy. Yeah, and you got white liberals saying hard R towards Black Americans, but Black community thought white liberals hasn't shown their true colors and kept playing around with fire for Democrats' puppet shields. Right. I mean, you see it with the ICE videos, because do understand that a lot of these ICE agents aren't white. They're blacks and Hispanics and Asians. These are the working poor. In case people didn't realize it, these are the working poor. And they run around calling black people house hard R's and whatnot and everything. These are your liberals. These are the people that, you know, y'all side with. You even got black people calling black ICE agents coons and house Negroes and all this stuff. I'm like, do you not understand how immigration affects you? You so CNN based that you don't know. Oh my God, let me stop. Let's get on to the next video.
Away from Trump's involvement in the Epstein files. By the way, the incomplete release of the Epstein files up to this point, Donald Trump is mentioned 5,391 times. 5,391 times.
Yeah.
And not one word about even asking the president to voluntarily come up and answer questions, but I'll yield to you.
I think it's really important to remind the American people about the timeline of President Trump's involvement here. We all know he ran for the presidency in 2024, saying he was going to release the files. Shortly after being sworn in, his attorney general claimed to have a binder with the client list, and she was going to release the files. At some point, very quickly, President Trump changed his tune. He started doing everything in his power to prevent the release of the files. We know, based on reporting, the attorney general told him that he was mentioned in the files. We now know thousands of times he's mentioned in the files.
Why is this guy lying? Why is this guy lying? Trump's like, release the here. If you want me to release the file here, I'll sign the documents. I'll release the files. Trump has been mentioned in the files. Yes. But where's your smoking gun? Where's the smoking gun? It came out that Epstein and some other dude, they hated Trump. Tried to get Trump to come to the island, tried to tempt him with little girls, underage girls, and he didn't go for it. So what are you talking about, bro? Do understand you can find yourself on the wrong end of a lawsuit. You keep talking crazy. Ask Trevor Noah. Okay? Ask Snuffleupagus. Ask them people. You see all BLM videos where they comparing Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner to Renee Good and Alex Preddy just because they were shot and racial profile by ICE. BLM has shown their true colors too. Like, look, man, there's a difference between what happened to black people and what happened to Pretty and Good. Just like all the victims of illegals, they didn't choose to sacrifice their lives. Pretty and Good did. So I don't want to hear that from them.
So I think we
thousands of times because he released the files.
Half of them. He released half of them only when he was forced to, after doing everything in his power to prevent it.
Is there an update on the Clintons?
And I can't share an update.
Over
The
a
good
million
news,
pages.
Mr. Chairman, I think we'll be able to go through door number one that I outlined in my opening statement. I understand that the Clintons have agreed to appear for depositions and have agreed to the terms that you laid out in your most recent letter.
Are you aware of that?
No.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case,
Somehow the media and the Democrats get the correspondence way before we do.
My understanding is that their attorneys reached out to you.
Your staff has it, Mr. Chairman.
You better check with your staff. But if that's the case, why are we doing this then?
If the staff has it, they just got it because we've been in there waiting for you all to stop talking on the last bill so we could present this bill. And look, you said transcribed. They rejected a transcribed. He wanted a transcribed interview. The difference in a transcribed interview and deposition, you don't have to answer the questions in a transcribed interview.
Right. But
they've agreed to the terms in your letter.
I would suggest that you consult with your staff. Maybe Mr. Walkinshaw can maybe make sure that you're.
Yeah, we'll make sure.
My understanding is that your staff has been been notified of this.
If they've been
So,
notified, it's been in the last 15 minutes.
Mr. McGovern, Mr. McGovern, it just has come out in the last, I just received a note.
In the last 2 minutes.
Right, well, then, can we save it? Can we save all?
No. Just because we're going to have to review this and look at this, and look, this sets a bad precedent. So every time we issue a subpoena, and what Mr. Walkinshaw does not say is the Democrats made the motion for all these subpoenas. This was a Democrat motion, and a majority of the Democrats on the committee voted for this
we want to
subpoena.
hear from everyone.
So you're trying to say it's partisan, and it's not
Let me
partisan.
claim my time, Madam Chair.
It's bipartisan.
So, in other words, you're getting everything you want, but you still want to go ahead with the show.
You're talking about something nobody's even read yet, Mr. Governor.
All right, let me. So in the recent DOJ release of the Epstein files, there appears to be far more information of prominent people in Epstein's circle, including Donald Trump, Melania Trump, Elon Musk, and Howard Lutnick. Chairman Comer, do you know if top Trump advisor Elon Musk ever went to Epstein's rape island?
I haven't seen any evidence that he had.
Do you know?
But look, if anybody that's been to the island, especially if they went to the island after he's convicted, we're interested in talking to them.
I mean, this is funny. They're saying that they just got the files just got released. So the interns are saying, yeah, Trump is mentioned in the files. So instead of them, it's like what Jasmine Crockett did with the whole Jeffrey Epstein donated money to Lee Zeldin, and come to find out it wasn't even the Jeffrey Epstein that she wanted it to be. Your interns have done a horrible job, and I get it. You want to get the narrative out there, but because mainstream media is dying outside of, and it's strange, outside of Fox News, nobody's watching mainstream media anymore. Again, YouTube, second biggest watch service in the world. You got the Nick Shirleys and them out here. People are watching them. They're not watching CNN. They're not, I mean, they're still watching Fox, but they're not watching CNN. They're not watching MS Now. MS Now look like they're going to fold come this time next year. Look like they're going to be out of business. You understand? Young Turks look like they're going to be out of business because nobody wants to hear that garbage anymore. That fear-mongering garbage. We want the truth. You have YouTubers who have way more views than CNN gets viewers. I mean, way more subscribers than CNN gets viewers. They get way more views in a video than CNN gets, than MS Now gets. I mean, blowing up. And all they doing is just independent people just telling the truth. They don't want to hear this surface dirt stuff that this dude is sitting up here talking about. He's mentioned in the bios. Well, what does it say? Well, I don't know. Then then why are you talking? You want to know what it say? Let's go on YouTube. What does it say? Osmond Gold. What does the file say? You know what I'm saying? Somebody tell me what the files say. Well, this is what the files say. Benny Johnson, what does the files say? This is what the files say. You understand what I'm saying? Nate the lawyer, cooking with Frank. All these people. What does the file say? They breaking it down. Nobody's watching your network. Nobody's buying your garbage anymore. You're the trash heap of media. You say, so they mentioned Trump in the files, but how much deep in those files were Trump is doing intentionally criminally towards children where he's notoriously cold doing the crime? Do they have the evidence? No! That's the point. All the evidence points that Trump rejected everything Epstein was throwing at him. Epstein, because do understand, Epstein's Epstein and his pedal ring was all of it was just like with Diddy and his parties. I get dirt on you. I get dirt on you so I can turn around and use it against you. Do you understand? Marlon Brando. Remember the pic of Marlon Brando with a penis in his mouth? Do you understand? Remember how they always put black men in a dress? They get dirt on you. Humiliation rituals and all of that stuff. No one's illegal on stolen land, showing that you are part of the Democratic Socialist Communist Party. The Black Eye Club that celebrities were part of. Trump used to go to Diddy parties, talk to Diddy about business, and then bounce out before the after party where he started drugging and raping boys and males and whatnot, forcing them to suck them off and all of this stuff. Got the hell up out of there. You got LeBron James in a damn French maid outfit, a full length mirror, taking a pic of himself, a selfie. The hell? So I'm hearing two different sides saying that Trump is an FBI informant tracking down Jeffrey for years. That I don't know is true or not. Trump was the one who turned Jeffrey Epstein in. Nobody else wanted to talk about when the FBI came knocking. Trump was like, yeah, I'll talk to you. Yeah, that little pervert ass nigga. Trump is the reason why they moved forward with the investigation, because he was the only one that wanted to talk to the FBI. That's mentioned in the emails.
Do you know if Trump advisor Steve Bannon ever went to Epstein's rape?
I don't keep up with Steve Bannon.
All right. Do you know if Trump's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick ever went to Epstein's rape island?
He has said he went to the island with his wife and kids and would never go back. He went somewhere. I don't know if it's an island, but he went somewhere with Epstein.
He said that before. So you don't want to subpoena them, or don't you care to learn if they?
I've subpoenaed the former Republican Attorney General Bill Barr for a hard-hitting deposition, and we subpoenaed Alex Acosta, who served in the Trump administration. How many Republicans did Jamie Raskin subpoena when he has? How many Republicans did the Democrats subpoena? This is a bipartisan investigation. That's why a majority of Democrats on the Oversight Committee voted for this.
It's my time, Mr. Chair. You can
see, here they go. This is the Democrat playbook. That's why I swear to God, the Democrat Party is the party of white, lesbian, man-hating feminists. He's using the same tactic Jasmine Crockett used. Well, what about this person? What about that person? Who was the chick? The Star Trek villain chick, the bald chick, Aisha Presley or whatever? Same tactic. They use the same. Well, what about this? Well, what about it? What about it? You got a problem with it? Bring it up later. Right now, we dealing with this right here. You mad that your hand got caught in the cookie jar? So you like, well, what about little Billy? He peed in the pool 6 years ago. We don't give a shit. I get to talking to Democrats, liberals about these situations, and they bring up January 6th like that means something to me. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about Jan 6. I'm not MAGA. I don't give a fuck about Jan 6. I don't give a fuck about Kyle Rittenhouse. I thought that him and his, if anything, I thought his mama should have been on trial for child endangerment, giving that boy a rifle and sending him across state lines. Talking about some protecting property. And he's 17 years old. His mama should have been on trial. She should have went to prison for that. Because the worst case scenario happened. He shot 3 people. He had his day in court. The verdict is the verdict. What am I supposed to do? Chase him down and beat him up or something? Y'all talked all that shit about George Zimmerman, but he's still out here walking around free on 2 legs. Miss me with that shit. I don't want to hear the whataboutisms. If you didn't do nothing about it back then, I don't give a fuck about it now. You want to do something about it now? Bring it up in a separate motion. Don't bring it up now because you're just deflecting. Nobody wants to hear your whataboutisms. Be a goddamn man. Deal with the here and now and deal with the past at another day.
Spread all the propaganda you want in your committee, but it's my time in this committee, and I'm asking the questions. So the answer is no. That you're not going to.
I don't even know what the question is.
It was very. Are you going to subpoena Howard Lutnick or Steve Bannon or Elon Musk?
We'll subpoena anyone that the evidence leads us to.
Yes.
If the evidence, we'll talk about it with the committee. We don't just pull subpoenas out of our butts like Jamie Raskin would do.
My time. Chairman Comer, the Oversight Committee issued a subpoena to Attorney General Bondi more than 5 months ago.
I subpoenaed Pam Bondi for the Epstein documents.
Madam Chair, can you muzzle the witness, please? I mean, Chairman Comer, the Oversight Committee issued a subpoena to Attorney General Bondi more than 5 months ago, requiring her to produce all of the Epstein files to Congress by August 19th, 2025. Yes or no? As of right now, has Attorney General Bondi fully complied with the subpoena?
We're still reviewing the 3 million documents to see if that's all of the documents or not.
It's important.
Just 1 minute, if I could. I'm going to ask you all not to talk over each other, but I do have a question something I'd like to ask, if you'd let me real quickly.
Happy to
real quickly. Thank you. People keep saying, have all the files been released? Does somebody have a total of the files? How is anybody ever going to know how many files?
Madam Chair, when this started 5 or 6 months ago, it was suggested that there were between 100 and 300,000 files. We've already had released over 3.1 million files.
Okay, now Mr. McGovern.
Mr. Walker, why don't you respond, please?
The direct answer to your question, Madam Chairwoman, is yes, we do have a number. And we have a number because the Trump administration, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, said there are 6 million files. They collected 6 million files. Now, he says they over-collected, so they've only released 3 million.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. 3 million files on one person, and you still got 3 million to go, supposedly? That's a lot of goddamn files. I mean, good Lord. Good Lord. That's a lot of goddamn files. That's a lot of emails. That's a lot of phone records. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of files. Surveillance. That's a lot of files.
Law does not allow them to subjectively determine that 3 million of the Epstein files that are in his possession, which he said were over-collected. Mr. McGovern, though, asked a question about the Oversight Committee's subpoena and the Attorney General's compliance with that subpoena. That's separate from the release of files that we've seen publicly, because the Oversight Committee's subpoena does not have the same list of allowed redactions that the legislation that we all voted for has. She's produced to this committee only 30,000 pages of documents, not 3 million, not 6 million. She's out of compliance with the subpoena and not following the law requiring the release of all 6 million documents.
But can we talk about this? I'm interested in getting to a number. So, well, I'm curious. Okay, so she's released over 3 million, you said, Mr. Chair.
She just released 3 million in addition to the I don't know, 30-something thousand a few months ago.
And Mr. McGovern, you said we know the number? Is that what you said?
The Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, President Trump's former personal lawyer, said that there are 6 million files. He's choosing to release only 3 million, and he's choosing to heavily redact that 3 million.
So should we hold Pam Bondi in contempt?
She is turning over documents, and what they said is they turned over documents, every document that they're legally required to turn over.
I don't think she's complying with the
Wait a minute. first and foremost, you can't just release all the files at once. I mean, you're talking about 6 million files or whatever. You can't release them all at once because you have the victims' names, you have victims' photos in there. So you have to go in and you have to do some redaction. You can't just put them out there to the public, especially to this Democratic Congress, because they've shown that they will take a shot at you. They will make your death look like a suicide. We know that. They're snitches. They're a criminal organization. The Democratic Party, as we see, Democratic Party has shown itself to be a criminal organization. So yes, you have to do some redactions to protect the innocent. To protect the innocent, not the offenders, but the innocent. Because you guys are psychotic. You're a crazy group of people.
Allowed by law to turn over.
Well, all right.
There's still investigations. There's class action lawsuits. There's a lot of legal stuff still taking place with this. But we want the documents. We want everything. We're reviewing the 3 million. I don't think anybody can say with honesty they've read all 3 million of them. We're pouring through them as quick as we can.
I'm worried about the 3 million that haven't been released. And do we know what's in those 3 million pages that haven't been released?
No,
we do not know.
Have we heard from? Have you? Because I've been reading the public. I've been reading public statements, but I want to know whether you have heard from Epstein's victims and survivors about the recent release by DOJ. Have you heard of some of the concern of some of the survivors who believe that DOJ is deliberately releasing personal information about them?
See, that's
and while at the same time protecting the men that abuse these women.
You want to?
It was deeply concerning. I mean, look, the most recent release, we heard from the Department of Justice that they couldn't follow the law because they were taking so much time to carefully scrutinize the files and ensure they did the appropriate redactions to protect the survivors. And then we hear from survivor after survivor after survivor after survivor who was revealed in the release. So they delayed the release to protect the survivors, so they say, and then they failed to protect the survivors when they released half of the files that the law
And the
requires.
interesting thing is that the names that really weren't released are the perpetrators, are the people who abused these women. So again, they victimized the survivors, and they're protecting the people, who abused them. I got to say that Republicans on the Oversight Committee have moved swiftly to hold the Clintons
and Democrats
in criminal contempt. Yet several Republican members of the Oversight Committee notably refused to comply with congressional subpoenas from the January 6th committee. Maybe, Chairman Comer, do you think your own members should have been held in contempt and prosecuted?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because there's been a lot of speculation in our Minnesota fraud investigation that there may be a Democrat member from Minnesota that net worth has significantly increased. What we found out, we can't investigate other members. That has to be the ethics committee. So if there was an issue with the January 6th committee subpoenaing members of Congress, which I've been told we're not supposed to do, then they should take it up with the ethics committee, because that's their sole purpose, is to investigate other members.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I'm just wondering whether we should recess for.
Wait, I remember that when they were trying to go after Ilhan Omar, and he told them, not this bald bastard, but the House Rep. He told them, like, hey, you can't do that here. You can't do that here. You have to go to the Oversight Committee. It was Nancy Mace. So Nancy Mace was like, okay. Is under investigation. Her and her husband for that fraudulent wine business that they created. They're now under investigation. Also, her marrying her brother for immigration fraud. So the House, this is why she did that apple cider vinegar BS. To try to take the heat off of her, to say, oh no, Trump is coming after me because he's racist. No, chick, ain't nobody listening to that. Benny Johnson busted out your whole company just by calling the number, going on Google, looking at the website and everything. And shortly after Benny Johnson did that video, suddenly the whole website and everything just disappeared from the internet. You say they eating good now by taxpayers. Oh, they're going to be eating good in Leavenworth Prison on taxpayers' dime by the time this is all over with. But yeah, I remember that.
5 or 10 minutes so that you can figure out what the Clinton development is. So we maybe can save ourselves a whole bunch of time.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mr. McGovern. Is this going to be the standard practice every time we issue a subpoena? Whoever's in charge, Democrats, Republicans, whoever's in control, every time you issue a subpoena, letting them stonewall for 5 months and then prove that you've got the votes on the floor in a bipartisan fashion to hold them in contempt.
No, I mean, I think what the danger here is that the Clintons weren't negotiating in good faith, and you jumped to this
for 5 months.
Just say, we have seen Chairman Comer has repeatedly moved the goalposts here.
Oh, that's bullcrap. That is not true. You've been here 3 weeks. You don't. Hey, that's not true.
You're a new boy. Shut up.
The chairman.
Reporters can't hear you. So, just a moment. You made an accusation, Mr. Walken.
I'm trying to.
That the Republicans moved the goalposts.
That's right.
How can you back that?
Right.
I'll back it up this way. We had a markup a couple weeks ago on these contempt resolutions. Mm-hmm. The chairman laid out his objections to the Clintons' most recent offer at that time. He didn't like that they hadn't agreed to a transcription. He didn't like that they wanted to limit the amount of committee staff in the room. They had said that he hadn't agreed to limit the discussion to Epstein-related matters. He claimed at the time that was untrue, and he did want to limit the discussion to Epstein-related matters. All of those objections that the chairman laid out at our markup a couple of weeks ago were addressed by the offer that the Clintons made yesterday. We now know the additional objections that the chairman laid out in a recent letter have been addressed by the Clintons and their lawyers. So if we're going to continue to move forward, despite the fact that they have met everything you've asked them to meet, I think we've revealed what's actually happening.
And so the question is,
well, the question is that why do the Clintons think that they can dictate their deposition? Why do they think they can dictate their deposition? Because they want to pick and choose who's going to be in the room. They want to make sure the room is full of their friends. So therefore, and less of their enemies. So therefore, the questions will be weak or argued down and defended. Do you understand? They're not slick. They're not slick. Oh my God. And the new boy is playing right along with it. So, all right. So let me read this. All right. So Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify on Jeffrey Epstein after rejecting subpoenas. All right. Former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, have agreed to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee as it carries out an investigation into disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, according to a statement following a standoff between the couple and the committee that voted to hold them in contempt of Congress for defying subpoenas. Angel Urena, the former president's deputy chief of staff, said in the statement, the Clintons look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone. Yeah, I just bet they are. Urena said the Oversight Committee did not negotiate in good faith before the testimony was agreed to, responding to a statement that accused the Clintons of trying to dodge contempt by requesting special treatment. Yeah, that's exactly what they were trying to do. You just heard dude say it. The Oversight Committee has not yet scheduled the testimony, which will come after the Clintons appeared adamant on rejecting subpoenas and preparing for legal battle over their compliance. House Oversight Committee Chair Rep. James Comer, that's him, said in a statement the Clintons' terms lack clarity yet again, and he will clarify the terms they are agreeing to and then discuss next steps with my committee members. Clintons will likely avoid being held in contempt by the full Congress by securing a completed testimony. See, oh my God, I hated that they did that. Sorry. Completed testimony agreement. Okay. Instead of providing testimony in front of the committee, Bill Clinton, who has appeared in several photos within the Epstein files, initially offered to speak with Comer privately about Epstein in a conversation that would have not been recorded or involved other members of the committee. I told you he wants special treatment. He wants special treatment. But did you give it to him? Do you afford that to him? Him being a former president? Or no? Because you already know what he probably gonna say to Comer. He probably gonna try to cut some type of deal, make some type of threat, bail threat, whatever. I mean, Bill Clinton's a gangster from Arkansas. Hell no, I ain't talking to you one-on-one. You're not about to play me out like no chump. Comer called the offer untenable, saying the Clintons' demands make clear they believe their last name entitles them to special treatment. Exactly. Get the hell out of here. The Clintons' attorney has argued the two know nothing about Epstein's alleged schemes and would not be able to provide crucial information and testimony, even though Bill's been on the island like 1,001 times, huh? Let's see. In addition to being pictured in photos in the Epstein files, the former president has been documented by name in them, including appearing in flight logs. Sorry, I can't read the rest of that because this is in the way. But hey, no news. No news. I sent what does the list say? What does you got the list? What does the list say? They're doing everything to sidestep Bill being possibly labeled as the first PDF president. I think yeah, I mean it's either him or no. Actually, the first PDF president would be Thomas Jefferson with Sally Hemings. Let's see, the other half of Epstein files, the Hillary server. Bill got reward points for every trip. It had Bill all over it. Thank you. You got, yeah, Bill's all over it. Both Bill Clinton, Bill Gates. Who's the guy? The other guy, that owned Amazon. I forget the dude's name. Yeah, you got a lot of these billionaires. Even what's the name? Who's the actor? Woody not Woody Harrelson. The guy that wound up marrying his stepdaughter. Woody Allen. Yeah. Is that Woody? Man, you got damn near half Tom Hanks. You got half of Hollywood on there. You saw a picture that said Stephen Hawking was there. Yeah, he probably was. I mean, who else gonna give us? Yes. In that robotic voice. Yes. Just that tip. Just like that. I like it. That's how I like it. More. I am arriving. Let me stop. Yeah, you know. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. These people crazy. They really think they about to get away with it. But this is why they hate Trump so bad. This is why they hate Trump so bad, because they know they don't have any real dirt on him. They don't have any real dirt on him, and it's killing them. It's killing them. They like, man, we want to get the rope out him so bad. We want this dude to suffer so bad. But It's you. It's not him. It's you. It's like when you break, it's not you. It's me. Yeah, it's definitely you. When they say it's not you, it's me. Yeah, it's definitely you. All right, y'all. Release the files crowd. Right. Well, he released the files. And now everybody's sitting up there looking all Hank. Sitting up there. Oh, man. Oh, really, man? Oh. Calling they lawyers and whatnot. Get me out of this. I wonder if I got any volume.
After Wesley Hunt proves illegals gave them 18 stolen House seats. Watch.
The American people and the census manipulation that Democrats have been using to influence American elections for years. In 2018, Republican leadership, including the president himself, called for a citizenship question to be included in the 2020 census reports. To no one's surprise, when the Democrats took control, these requests went unanswered, and the question of citizenship was waived. But the fact remains that the concept of sanctuary cities and radical blue states ignoring immigration law and using the illegal population to manipulate the lines of congressional districts is in fact unconstitutional. Not only are there severe constitutional concerns from the inclusion of illegal immigrants, but the Census Bureau admitted to having made several, quote, errors in their 2020 census report. Convenient, seeing that as in 2020, Donald Trump was on top of the ticket. In 2020, the Bureau undercounted in primarily deep red states such as Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Texas, all red, while overcounting in radical left blue states like Delaware, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New York, Ohio, and Rhode Island. This egregious error led to many states being denied proper representation in Congress and the Electoral College. So much so that these errors cost Republicans not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 seats in the House. In addition to the 2020 miscounting, including illegal immigrants in the census has improperly granted radical left blue states 12 additional seats in the United States House of Representatives. It's a total of 18 seats gained. That is a huge problem, and those are the facts. Mr. Mayfield, thank you so much for being here. So I have a question for you, if you don't mind. You, sir, are a seasoned litigator who has practiced in matters ranging from complex commercial litigation to constitutional and administrative law. In your expert opinion, and I want you to really speak about this in long form because I want this recorded, should illegal aliens be included in the apportionment process under the 14th Amendment?
The Supreme Court has never directly addressed that, Congressman. For apportionment purposes, as Congress has interpreted it, the Supreme Court has held that it currently applies to all people, regardless of citizenship. There is certainly an open question as to whether or not, if Congress were to direct the Census Bureau to do it differently, as to whether or not that would be legal.
Okay, so in regards to thinking more of a high level, in terms of being a citizen and what it means to be a citizen in this country, and I do believe that being a citizen in this country means that you have the right to choose the leadership if you're a tax-paying legal citizen in this country. If you are an illegal person in this country, should you, under any circumstances, be allowed to vote and choose leadership in this country?
That wouldn't be an expert opinion. As a citizen, I would object to that.
And what about you, Ms. Rodriguez?
I also object to that.
Mr. Miller?
Correct. Citizens should not be, illegal aliens should not be voting.
And that applies to you also, Mr. Young. I'd love to hear your response to this question.
Non-citizens are not allowed to participate in federal elections.
Okay. Are they participating in federal elections?
Or local?
The studies have shown that there are very few instances in which they have.
So that number needs to be 0. And as somebody who is a proud Texan, we and in Florida have done our best to get that number to 0. And in spite of the fact that I just voted a couple of weeks ago, and we voted with paper ballots that we had to show an ID for that didn't verify my address and where I lived. And then I had to put said piece of paper through a machine, copied it. They gave me another copy. And then they gave me my very proud I voted sticker. And even with those stringent rules, with my daughter who is 7 years old was actually with me, she too got an I voted sticker. And guess what? With those stringent laws, we still have illegals voting in federal elections. So the question is not even about what's happening in Texas. If it's happening in Texas, you have to imagine that while it may seem like a minuscule amount to you, sir, that number needs to be 0. And if it's happening in Texas with those stringent rules, imagine what's happening in other blue states that don't have anything that closely resembles that level of redundancy to ensure that the person that voted in that election is in fact a citizen that has an address and has an ID. And with that, I'll yield back the remainder of my time. Thank you very much.
All right, so the next video we're going to talk about this Georgia election fraud situation. You got these black folks down here panicking. I mean, they are panicking down here in Fulton County because they know they stole that election. Tulsi Gabbard found the votes. She even came out here. They found the votes. They found the votes, and they're look. I said way back when Trump was elected president, was the worst thing you tried to do was you tried to kill him. That was the worst thing. Y'all remember that? I said the worst thing y'all tried to do was you tried to kill him. You tried to kill him. First you tried to bankrupt him, then you tried to jail him, tried to imprison him. Now you tried to kill him. It's over. When you go for the king, you bet not miss. And now you're starting to see the results of it. I guarantee you, by the time the midterms are ready, by the time people are ready to vote, you're going to have a lot of Democrats under federal indictment. You're going to have a lot of Democrats in seats of power who are probably trying to call themselves run for office. They're going to be indicted. I mean, look at Tim Walz. Tim Walz has said he's retiring from politics overall when his term as governor is up. Like, well, you'll be in prison, Tim. You'll be in prison with eating honey buns out of Big Terry's butt cheeks. So we not worried about you. You're just the tip of the iceberg. And I know the federal government moves slow, but I mean, the reason why they move slow is because they want to make sure that they got a solid case against you. They want to collect all the evidence against you that they can get their hands on, and then they come after your evidence. When they come and kick in your door at 4 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, you still with sleep in your eye and a crusty wee-wee. They coming to get you. Snatching up all your computers, all your electronic devices, all your files. That's why I'm like, perp walks are, I mean, look at Don Lemon. I wish we would have got his perp walk on tape. I can't wait till these ICE officers start wearing body cams and DHS and all of these people start wearing body cams. I want to see some perp walks. And in all honesty, I think DHS and ICE should set up their own containment facility for Americans that they wind up arresting for assault and everything. So that way they don't get the revolving door treatment that the state and local government would give them. Like we set up our own courts here in Chicago, in Baltimore, in New York, etc., etc., etc. We have our own judges. You go to federal court, not state and local court. You go to federal court. You got to sit before a federal judge and answer to your federal felony crimes. They really need to start setting that up. But what do I know? I just work here. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all when I get to them. Join them and tell them what's up. Join who? Join who? and say the next appointment for electoral votes is going to be crazy. Yeah, because it's funny. They talk about how crime has decreased in a lot of these sanctuary cities or whatnot, or in a lot of these cities where they're arresting illegals. They talk about how the crime stats have dropped, but they don't say why the crime stats have dropped. But we know why local news won't tell you that. But for the record, Ray Hamner, I do be on Truth Social. I do be writing them. I do tell them what I think. I ain't scared of the white people. They don't scare me. If y'all don't scare me, you think they gonna scare me? Shoot, I hate everybody equally. I hate everybody equally. I have disdain for everybody equally. When y'all hear me talk about black, shoot, y'all tend to forget. If y'all sit up here and hear me talk about black folks bad, maybe y'all forget who the hell I used to talk crap about for damn near 10 years on my Bitter Truth Show channel. It's your turn. It's your turn. It's the Democrats' turn. Shit. Some of them vicious. I'm speaking in general. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna get on that voter fraud that is getting ready to rock the United States right now. We'll deal with that on the next video. I will catch y'all later. Y'all be safe now. Peace.
No, gentlemen, Mr. Butler's been up north, I hear. Don't you agree with us, Mr. Butler?
I think it's hard winning a war with words, gentlemen.
What do you mean, sir? I mean, Mr. Hamilton, there's not a cannon factory in the whole South.
What difference does that make, sir, to a gentleman? I'm afraid it's going to make a great deal of difference to a great many gentlemen, sir.
Are you hinting, Mr. Butler, that the Yankees can lick us?
No, I'm not hinting. I'm saying very plainly that the Yankees are better equipped than we. They've got factories, shipyards, coal mines, and a fleet to bottle up our harbors and starve us to death. All we've got is cotton and slaves and arrogance.
That's treachery!
A problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Right. Hi. Thanks for the fun.
Get the fuck out!